All right, so good morning, one more time, everyone. I'm going to start sharing the document with today's agenda. So the first topic, as usual, is feedback from issue triaging last week. I see it was Pasha and Leo. Anything you want to share before we start topics?
I did reviews, but have only one thing to discuss. I sent it in Zoom chat, so it's not a document. Forgot to edit.
Thank you. Mm-hmm.
So here's some ongoing license changes in Redis, and the question like how we will react on it. Are we going to change the val key and so on? Like if someone had a chance to notice it and to review. I just not so well in security, so it's very not super familiar with licensing stuff. Asking if
Same here. I think first time I'm hearing that there is explicit CNCF policy that violates using
So
Redis license.
some comments on this. The license change is in a new version of Redis. We're still several versions behind that version, so I think we do have time to be thoughtful about this. I don't think we have to rush into anything. My concern about Valkey is that it is just a brand new project. You have other drop-in Redis replacements like KeyDB, which has been around for like 5 years. So like if you wanted to swap it out, there are potentially other alternatives. And people can swap it out right now. They can just update the Helm chart and pass in a different thing.
Yeah.
The license issue with the Linux Foundation, I'm a little unclear if it is only referring to included libraries, because if you, for example, I mean, what it's really talking about is what libraries do you include in your code base? That's how I read it. And so I view the requirement strictly to be about how you license your projects. I don't think that to offer a Kubernetes manifest that references even non-open source components would actually necessarily be a problem. I could be totally wrong about that. I know philosophically we all have strong feelings about it. I'm really just talking about the requirement here from a CNCF standpoint. I'm not 100% sure that we are required to replace Redis at the moment anyway. So I think there's a lot of questions.
You just mentioned that first of all, I already saw the open draft. I didn't have time to review it, but I already saw open draft in pull requests. I believe it will be mainly around changing. Yeah, Alex, maybe you can open. Let's see what it was shorter. It's on first page.
Wait, sorry. The pull request.
Yeah. Let's see, it's here. I saw it somewhere here.
And then your concern with Valkey, what was that?
Yeah, you can see
because it's a new fork.
in the bottom of screen. Alex, bottom. Nope, it was in the middle.
I'm sorry, what am I looking for? I missed it.
Pull request. It's just proposal. Never mind. Sorry, I confused.
My main concern with it is just that Valkey is a brand new project, and so it, by all means, it has the appearance of a project that's going to be around for a long time and will likely be successful. But if you think about like what the default thing is that we deploy, I would like to have it have a little bit more usage and adoption under its legs before we just say, hey, that's the default thing. Now, like I said, I think from a time perspective, I don't think we're in a rush. Like I said, we're several versions behind on Redis anyway. So I think we do have, 6 months or a year even before we actually would have to make this. And even then, I'm not sure we have to make the decision. Just from a licensing perspective, I'm not sure that it totally applies. So I think it'd be great if we wanted to test it, but I also worry about like, so for example, with KeyDB, which is a fork of Redis that's been around for like 6 years, it should be in a drop-in ready replacement that already has adoption. Now, I'm not trying to make a judgment about Valkey versus KeyDB, because I haven't honestly spent like 2 seconds on it, so I don't know a ton about either one of them. I know both are active projects. I know that KeyDB has been around for a long time, and I think it also has a valid license. But for whatever reason, people also didn't feel like this was a valid, like they felt like it was still worth it to go and make Valkey as well. So I don't like that there's a testing overhead to this project, because you could imagine a scenario where you're like, okay, maybe we should support any of these or multiple of these, because people are also using Redis like HA, like professional, enterprise Redis with Argo already, right? And I don't want to like screw those people because we make a decision and now there's some drift that occurs in these projects. So it's a quagmire.
Yeah, I agree with Dan in that there shouldn't be a rush to like, let's just swap it out, right? Like, let's take the time to like, if we're gonna swap it out, find a good replacement for it. And it may not even be a drop in Redis, right? It may be something else, but yeah, I tend to agree. Let's not like just like, let's just switch because we don't know the licensing. I think as long as licenses are compatible, we should be fine. I don't think we're selling Redis. So I think that's mainly what the BUL license is about. But yeah, I tend to agree. Let's just not completely swap it out. I do like Alexandri's comment here in the chat. Like, maybe we just rename the issue, replace Reddit with an OSS alternative. And in that case, like, it just kind of just opens it up to like, just in general, let's not like kind of switch. Although Valkey is part of the CNCF, I mean, it makes sense, but we shouldn't pull the triggers.
We just have other considerations. Like right now, Argo CD, the way we deploy Redis is expensive, and then I was looking at KDB as well, and it was promising cheaper way of running it, and I'm sure everyone would be happy to have a little less expensive Argo CD. So it's, yeah, I agree. I guess my point is, it's not just license. We can use it as a chance to.
So
improve.
one thing to look at would be the HA part of Argo CD also, just to be clear on what's involved. There's the HA Redis comes in through the HA manifest, which actually is a third-party manifest that it itself includes Redis. I mean, I'm just saying that that's another piece of the puzzle we haven't discussed. If you look at the HA manifest and look inside the base, you'll see there's an HA Redis that comes from another source. And then another question I had, just real quick, for completeness, was whether any of the client-side code SDKs, the Redis SDK inside Argo CD needs to change, or should change. I guess needs to change it's pretty clear that wouldn't be the case. It's an API.
As I checked Valkey, it's just forked Redis client. So like Redis, open source Redis. So I believe it should not require any changes. For KeyDB, I'm not sure. I would check.
They're both supposed to be
Supposed to
drop-in
be.
replacements for Redis
Mhm.
with fully compatible APIs.
Yeah.
Both of those projects promise that.
Mhm.
And I'm sure, like, just another thing to think about. So I agree. I think, Alex, I think you've got the right take here, which is like, we should think, if we need, like, let's evaluate based on performance and the best thing for the user. And license is a requirement that we have to deal with. But the CNCF compatibility license, again, I'm not sure that actually is a hindrance to us at the moment. And then the other thing with just to go back to like the longevity of Valkey, it's CNCF backed. It's a brand new project. It'll probably go far. It'll probably be successful. These open source forks of license change projects do present a challenge, just in terms of maintaining compatibility with their base. You would expect there to be some drift, and with Terraform, there was a cease and desist probably probably frivolous from HashiCorp that some of their code might have been copied. Sounds like that's probably going to be defeated and knocked down. But those things like, you know, it's like you like to see the project just working, not having issues, not having legal challenges, because at the end of the day, we don't really want to be caring about, we don't want to care about like the controversies of related components to Argo CD. We just want to care about Argo CD, you know, and Argo in general. So, yeah, sounds like everybody agrees. We don't need to rush into it or anything, but it would be good if people want to take on, like, hey, I'll do an evaluation of KeyDB and I'll do one of Valkey and just do like the performance of what this looks like and what the impact might be, and if there's any other things we need to worry about.
All right. I think maybe we've got one suggestion to rename this issue to replace Redis with open source alternative, and we can continue discussion here. And I saw that
but
there was
maybe not renaming, thinking a bit better, because the user created this, the contributor created this, and I think it provided the PR already. Maybe we need another ticket with what we're discussing.
Okay. Yeah, it's nicer. All right, let's create another one. I can.
Maybe we can just give user choice. Like the real question that we just need to put some default inside manifest, right? But we can support both of them. So we actually, he's just doing some documentation part. No, it's proposal. Okay, let's see what we'll do.
In theory,
Yeah.
you could just swap the Redis image with either of these alternatives and it should just work.
Yes.
So and it's like, if you do the thought experiment of like, let's say that we provide a Helm chart where you have a switch that says deploy Redis or Valkey or KeyDB. Does that violate a CNCF license compatibility thing for us to allow them the option to deploy with Redis? No, I don't think so. So it's unclear to me that it would violate the license even if there wasn't an option. So anyway, I think yeah. I'll volunteer to make a new issue if you guys would like. I can do that.
Awesome. Thank you. Okay, I think we need to move on. We already spent 15 minutes. And Leo, did you want to share anything, or we can move to choosing the next?
No, honestly, I didn't have time to dedicate on that. You can keep my name as a primary for next week.
All right, and I can remove Pasha. And honestly, I wanted to volunteer this week because I haven't done it for a while, and I know I have time now. So I can join you, Leo, and we can be, unless someone wants it to be primary.
I'll volunteer this week. I'm back from vacation.
Oh, Dan, was it you?
Yeah, I'll take it on. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Thank you. No objections. All right. So we do have some topics. Okay, I'm going to start from the first one. So there's a discussion about a post-delete hook not working with application generated from application set. And I believe there was some discussion already.
And that's why I'm here. I added that to the agenda. And I'm just looking for some information, wondering whether the opinion is that it's easy to fix, or it can be fixed, or should be fixed, and how to fix it. I might be interested in looking into it if I have some.
Yeah, I think I probably can help. I just know how. So the post-delete hook, it manipulates finalizers, it create and remove them, and because we need to execute deletion in multiple steps. Yeah. And I know that application set aggressively replace applications. Every time it
Oh, go,
So
well,
it-
yeah, sorry, didn't mean to interrupt, but I think what we've discovered is that those cleanup annotations never get put onto the application when it's generated from the application set. I mean, that
Mhm.
to be clear, that's and I tried adding them, and that doesn't seem to. That's not a working workaround. So sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
My guess is application set just removes them very quickly. Every time someone touches application set tries to generate it again. And I'm hoping that in application set code, we can find a special handling of this finalizer. And I suspect we need to add special handling for these two guys as well. We can try to quickly check it in, like if we find it right away in application set code. Okay, never mind. I need to be logged in, and currently I'm not. But that's my guess. I have almost sure that application set specifically tries to not to touch this finalizer. Oh, actually, no, never mind. My bad. No. The difference of these two finalizers is we add them on the fly. So when a post delete hook is there, then application controller insert and delete these finalizers. And I feel like an application set just blindly replace application finalizer field with the finalizer from the template. And so, yeah. So I'm like 99% sure the fix would be to add special handling of these two finalizers in application set and just never touch them, because these two finalizers kind of managed dynamically by application controller.
Okay, so you're saying that
The-
the code missing from application set that it's missing some code that deals with them.
It's yes. Mhm.
Okay.
I think we chose like application set uses update, so it just generate application from template and updates it. And I know here and there we have several special fields that it tries not to touch ever. For example, operation. Like operation is similar to finalizers created on the fly and deleted by controller. And so application set just never touched that field. And these two finalizers are the same. They're not
Okay.
meant to be. Yeah. So if we, in the update method, we just need to, before updating the application, we need to make sure we are not removing or deleting these two finalizers.
Okay, great. Yeah, I can look at that and see if I can make some progress.
Thank you. Yeah, I worked on this feature and I totally forgot about the application set. So I guess that's the missing part.
Right.
Amazing. Thank you.
Mhm.
All right. So we can move to the next one. The question is support nested objects in merge generator. And I'm not sure. Yeah, there is an open issue. Hopefully it has a description. And I'm not sure if Christopher here in the call. Do you want to provide overview?
Yes, I am. Hi, everyone. I hope my mic's working.
It does.
Perfect. So as stated, I would like to add the feature of nested keys and being able to merge on nested keys via the merge generator for application set generators. And I think this is something, at least judging from the comments, that sometimes get posted under this issue every, I don't know, few weeks, maybe a few months. Someone stumbles across this because I think people think this works because, yeah, I think it would be nice. And one proposal to do so, which I implemented a PR that is an example on how this could be implemented on, is to treat merged keys as templates themselves and template them out. So each element in the generator templates out this merge key, and then on matching, we check if they match between each other, and this seems to work. There are downsides and upsides to this, and I would love to get some feedback on this and find a way to make this into a releasable feature.
I have a question.
Sure.
I'm curious. So the expectation here that if we use templating, we should get true or false here. Is it how it works?
So the merge key, each of the, I don't know if I got your question right, but maybe I try to explain, is that in this example, what would happen is that each element of this generator, like the first element clusters, it itself first templates the values in values.merge, like the labels, availability zone and stuff. This is templated normally, nothing's changed there. And when it is templated out, then the merge generator takes the value that is now in the cluster generator values.merge, and it templates it into the merge key and memoizes it in a map. And then the second element, the git generator, does the same thing. And if they both combine, or if in both, for both elements, they template out the same merge key, then they will get merged.
Oh, I got it.
I think this, or as far as I remember, this is not too different from what has already happened, just without the templating part. Previously, the values were taken as is and memoized in this map as the merge key. And the new thing is now that they are not taken as strings, but they can be actually templated via standard templating syntax, or to be compatible with current merges. I implemented automatically adding the curly braces, because currently people will not have those in there, and they will of course expect the code not to break if it works for now. So currently those are automatically added if they are missing.
The one way to think about this is you're creating a sort of ephemeral, unnamed value by rendering this template, and then you're comparing that unnamed value from one generator to the other, and then if they match, you do a merge. So it's not precisely a merge key. It's the key is implicit. It is whatever comes out of running this template is our value. The syntax is odd to me, especially since it's different from what existed pre-Go template. I think I'd like it better if it were just .values.merge and didn't have the templating brackets around it, because the fact that we are running the template here seems to me like an implementation detail that doesn't need to be exposed to the user. I feel like I think merge keys can work as they are written today. So this could just be values.merge. The only reason they don't work today is when Go templates produce values for generators, they're not flattened like they used to be. So we used to run an algorithm that would flatten this structure out into key value pairs where the key is some like kind of JSON-y syntax of, you know, object name, dot object name, etc. I think we could just implement something that does the flattening and then uses the same old merge keys, just like values.merge, like they used to be written. just something needs to be aware. We're using Go templating, so the objects need to be flattened before we evaluate the merge keys.
I cannot search for it right now, but I think I was also running into the same limitation of current merge keys, and I had a proposal. So there is an issue filed by me for a slightly different variation of the same, but I cannot tell right now what it was. But yeah, to be honest, right now I cannot. That looks a little strange to me as well, because I think it took me some time to understand like how is it going to work, but don't have strong opinion if it's a good approach of it.
Christoph, does the suggestion of flatten then evaluate, does that make sense? Is it clear what I mean by that?
I think yes. Unfortunately, it took me some time to arrive here in this meeting. I implemented this a while ago, and I think I thought about this, but I just can't remember why I did it. Why I didn't do what you suggested.
Might have been because like it will be impactful if people already use a merge key that is not rendered currently, but I think they would have faced the issue and just not use that. I think it's a valid use case to break.
Think so too. So Alex, I'm looking at your suggestion. It makes sense. I think the way that I've been thinking about people achieving this is by writing, the first piece into a values block.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly what you've done here. Yeah. Oh, I already said it. Cool.
Yes, I remember we spoke about. So
that,
I guess yeah.
Work because Go templating breaks the structuring of like flattened key value pairs.
And I see how in both cases we have this backward compatibility problem. Like now, when I heard it, I would change my own proposal to maybe introduce merge expression instead of keys, so when people can choose. Introduce a different field that specifically.
So that
for the new
would be
frame.
another option I also thought about, and I totally understand that would be a good way to go down. Keep the syntax and the behavior exactly as it is for the old one, and give it a new place to live.
I'm hesitant to expand the API. If we can implement a fix on the back end that just works without changing the API, I think that's preferable. I think the only downside is what Alex mentioned, which is if we had this behavior of, okay, we're going to use merge key a.b.c that was broken before, and now all of a sudden it works, that's technically a breaking change. But I think I agree with Alex, that's an acceptable breaking change.
So one thing I think I found was that people, or sometimes this accidentally works, because if the merge key does not exist in multiple locations, I think then values are merged because they evaluate to the same merge key, a non-existent one. And I agree that this is a corner case that probably should have been broken from the get-go, just to have everything on the table.
Sure. So they both evaluate to like an empty string and then they match.
Exactly. Yes.
Really weird behavior. I kind of hate that. But that's fair. Yeah, my order of preference, I think, would be flatten, don't change the API would be first. Second would probably be match expressions. And then third would be the option of actually including like the template tags in here like you have. But I think I'd want to know how badly it would break things, and specifically what would break if we went the flatten approach. So I'd want to validate the behavior on empty key and determine what would happen to people's applications if suddenly the empty key didn't match.
I think we're stuck in this. I mean, not stuck, but we kind of get to the point where now we have few options and discussion has to continue offline.
So I think I can. The one point, removing the curly bracket. I understand that having it look like this with the curly brackets around the merge key leads to the assumption that something is actually templated at this place, which is not the case. That's true, and it already works without those brackets. So we can definitely do that. The second, or I agree with the point that I think that if we could make this work in the without expanding the API inside the same block, that would be neat, having it just work. This seems to be the thing people expect. That's why they arrive at the issue. The only thing I'm not sure about is flatten the keys. I'm not heavily leaning in one direction or the other at the moment. I think it's neat to use Go templating as it is, so not trying to flatten any keys, just leave everything to the templating engine, because that is known behavior. And then the edge case is like, what if there's a key that has a dot inside or something? Those edge cases will be the same edge cases as they currently are for the known templating engine. If we do some kind of flattening or custom logic on this merge key, I think that would be something that we need to at least consider or exclude or somehow think about.
I'm curious because Michael so passionate about keeping the API the same. I want to ask a question. What do you think about doing something like this? We can have merge key, which is string or an object. And then here we can have key dot something. So the idea here, the same trick as Kubernetes does for, I think it's resources, where you can give either integer or string, and then API is kind of smart. It tries to decide based on what's there. So would it release your concern a little bit? I mean,
Yeah,
I
that'd
see
be a
how.
good attempt to not have breaking change, I think.
For me, when I say API change, I'm talking about basically any change to the user's interface to the feature. So adding a dot at the beginning is a breaking change, even if it's in a string. Adding curly braces is a breaking change. Adding an expression is a breaking change.
I mean, it's here. I'm kind of saying, if it's a string, then we assume it's the old behavior, and then what I'm trying to avoid is kind of magic. So I just see no path to solve all edge cases, because if you only limit it to a string, it's kind of hard to support all edge cases, and that's why I feel like it's not a breaking change, but it's an API change. It's kind of a little bit dirty because we would not get API validation in CRD, because I don't think Kubernetes let you say it's either string or object. But even though it's an API change, I don't think it's breaking, and it would give us whatever flexibility we need. We can have expression, or we can be very specific. We might say, I don't know, go template. So like, yeah.
If we break the API, like merge expression would be, I think, better because you'd have the Kubernetes validation there and you can specify one or the other, I think.
Yeah, let me clarify. My preference is not to don't expand the API, don't change the API at all. I think that the API as it exists today is sufficient to support the use cases that people have. It's just that the backend behavior of the existing API is broken. I think that we can fix the backend behavior in a way that doesn't break anyone's existing behavior in a meaningful or important way, by flattening keys and evaluating the merge key as it is today. Now, if we test and we enumerate the unexpected, surprising behavior changes that come with that, then we can evaluate, okay, do we want to add to the API to avoid breaking existing application sets? But I think why add a new feature when the existing feature is sufficient? It's just broken.
Yeah, I see your point. Yeah, if it's possible, of course, I agree. Like if we can just change the implementation and do not even introduce any new user-facing things, it would be perfect.
Yeah, I think we just need to enumerate the potentially breaking issues produced by that decision, and then decide whether we think, I mean, we could either put it behind a flag or say we're uncomfortable with those breaking changes. We've got to expand the API.
And I'm trying to find a way, how can we help to move this issue forward? So the step is to list the breaking changes, right? And then we can make decision.
Yeah.
Kind of just justify API change. Like if there are breaking changes, then we can say, see, because of this, we want to change API. But if there are none of them, then.
Yep, exactly. I think, and enumerating those means describing the conditions under which existing merges would no longer merge, and the conditions under which existing non-merges would start to merge. And then we can assess how likely we think those two conditions are.
So I think that is something I can do. And I can try and be a bit creative, and provide you with a list. And then I'd say, depending on the contents of this list, we can discuss what next steps should be.
That makes sense to me. I think it's a good step.
Cool. Sounds good to me. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, so we have two more. Okay, one more topic, and only 4 minutes. So Alex G, I'm not sure if you want to discuss it now.
Yeah.
Or okay.
Yeah. So I think most of you are all aware of the issues. Like it's been discussed at length already in the different topics here. But basically, the use case is currently the delete permission is application wide. So if you have delete permission, you can delete the application itself and any resources in it. And we have a use case to maybe restrict that and only allow some resource kind to be deleted, such as pods. And we'd like to be able to do it in Argo CD in the short term. So the long solution might be the impersonation in Argo CD of Kubernetes service account, but on the short term, there was kind of two ideas. One was to delete it through an action. So add a delete action for the resource you want, and then allow the user or not to delete that, to execute that action with the current CASBIN policies. But currently the actions framework don't support the delete operation. And the alternative was to maybe tweak the current policies to support finer grain delete for a group kind resource, basically. So if we contribute, will there be any reservation to merge what would allow us to be able to delete pods specifically? And what would you prefer between actions and updating the policy system?
I do think the attribute where we specify the object is a bit overloaded today. It's very cumbersome, and it brings a complicated logic and user experience to really reason how this works. I'd love to see a proposal for that, Alex, that we can discuss here. I don't have personal reservations to whether this needs to be an action, or we can expand the ORBAC model in Argo CD for that. I think both solutions are acceptable, in my opinion. The only problem is how to evolve our ORBAC policies in a way that it's not getting too complicated, right?
Yeah, if you go back to the maintainer, the contributor document, there's like 3 suggestions. Yeah, in green. So a different pattern that could be used to have a fine grain policy on the delete.
And I'm trying to compare it with actual. Okay, yeah.
Let me jump in since we're at time. I think to put it pointedly, the answer that we're hoping for, and especially from you, Alex M, since you're an Argo CD lead, does the idea of expanding RBAC to include like resource specific actions, does that sound crazy to you? And if so, we would probably go with the actions route. If it doesn't sound crazy, we'd probably write a proposal.
To be honest, it doesn't sound crazy, because I think that's the reason I wanted to see, this. So we already have an action, and I was only debating. So I'm very glad we already have resource level RBAC, and I was trying to see the smallest possible improvement, and it seems to me the first thought was, okay, it's not too bad, and then instead of, and just I was thinking if there is a very non-controversial RBAC change. So where I'm going is, I think I like the option to have delete
With sub resource.
This sub resource. Yeah, it doesn't look too crazy, because I think we almost have it.
Yeah, and then it can be like backward compatible if you just handle the delete keyword, and then if it's explicitly delete, you can add a star to maintain the compatibility.
Just 50% from my 5% from my side. So I actually like the idea to be it in RBAC. Just I also would join Leo and say that this logic is a bit complicated today in terms of code, and if it will make it even more complicated, I would also think about another approach. But in from user experience, I really like RBAC.
Do you feel like complication is in the logic that matches the action against.
Yeah, I think this
Yeah.
one that's in API server. If you're talking about it in
Yeah.
It is in the logic and also on the complexity on the user to write a policy that expresses what the user wants, right? Because if the specific attribute has many different meaning, I mean sections, right? And the user has to absolutely follow the policy definition that we define, then it can get complex for users to express what they want. So that's my point.
Yeah. And one, I think it's place where we usually take vulnerabilities. I mean, so it's pretty sensitive part of the platform. I mean, again, it's probably not so critical to this discussion.
Yeah, but yeah, unfortunately we already over time, so maybe we can. I would honestly keep talking about it and discuss it in the next meeting again.
Yeah, let's bring as the first topic in the next meeting, so we can continue the conversation.
Yeah, I agree. All right, and I think we should stop now because we're already 5 minutes over and we have a lot of people on the call. And I'll move the topic to the next big discussion. All right, so thanks everyone. Thanks for joining. And see you again next week.
Thanks everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks.